guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to give a story titled, My Wife of 4 Years Cheated on Me with a Coworker and is Genuinely Sorry. Should I Forgive Her? And guys, this story is about a guy. He is, he's 31 years old and his wife's 28. They've been married for 4 years but been together for 7 years. And according to him, that he is her first and only, and the same thing with her with him. And lo and behold, one night she was supposed to come home on a Friday night, but the last minute contacted him saying that she had to do this work function thing. And a couple hours later, she comes home hysterical and crying and told him that she hooked up with one of her coworkers and this whole thing. And now he's there wondering, what should I do? Because in his opinion, she's certainly coming off like she's genuinely sorry and is willing to do anything to fix the relationship or whatever. And this is I haven't done a story like this in a while. Usually I do a couple of months just to keep refreshing this, because sadly this type of thing happens a lot. Okay, it isn't just, you see it all the time in movies, television, all in the media, all in the songs. That's always the guy that does the cheating and the guy that does these horrible things, and the girl forgives him and all that. Well, women do this just as much. And a lot of guys end up staying in bad situations, bad marriages, bad relationships, long after they should depart because they feel bad or because of the kids or some other reason. And I do this stories like this, guys, to show you that situations like this do happen. And, if it happens to you, you're not alone. But you really got to look at the big picture. And you got to think with your head, not your heart. And you're going to see here, this guy he's just in turmoil on how to handle the situation. So I'm going to go through a story here and point things out along the way and share my 2 cents. There's definitely important things to learn here and go from there. So it starts off, my wife and I have been together for 7 years, married 4. We have a great marriage and 2 children. A girl who's 3 and a boy who's 2. We were each other's one and only sexual partner. Yeah, keep telling yourself that, dude. Somehow she may have been your only, but I have a very hard time believing that you were hers. Okay, I don't buy it. But whatever. It says last week she ended up going home with a coworker on Friday night, lying and saying it was a work function. Specifically, she texted me around 7:30 p.m. that a work function suddenly came up and she has to go. What a load of crap. No work function just suddenly comes up at 7:30 p.m. on a Friday night. You may have, depending on what she does for a living, like if she's an attorney and all of a sudden some last minute shit came up, maybe there or something, but in terms of at work, but not an actual work function, like we're all going to go out and have to do something, okay? Maybe there's something that kept her staying at the office a little longer, and even then you have to question it, because, I know plenty of lawyers, and things do come up at the last minute. I'm sure you lawyers out there watching this know what I'm talking about, but no. I was a bit pissed since we planned to watch a movie at home, and she canceled without notice, but I saw no reason to mistrust her. She said she'd be back by 9:30, and I was okay with that. Then she ends up coming back at 11:30 in hysterics. She's crying and mumbling and admits she slept with her coworker. Lots of anger and crying on my end, and we end up spending the whole night discussing it. Isn't that amazing? She plans the whole thing out, sends the text saying that a work function suddenly came up. Is that what they call the cheating nowadays with the coworker, a work function? And comes home at 11:30 at night, and the whole crocodile tears and all that. Guys, I'm sure many are aware of this now, that by the time women reach the age when they start actually dating and hooking up, they have mastered the ability to cry like that. Like flipping a switch. It starts when they're little girls, and they can turn on the tears to manipulate their daddies or their grandpa, or you know what I'm talking about. And I've observed this more than a few times in my own family. My cousin, she has a daughter, and I remember like 10 years ago, the girl was like 7 years old, and she fell down or something, and she was on the ground crying and holding herself, and all the men that were around there, the uncles and the cousins were there trying to there her, and she just got up, started giggling, and says, "Just kidding, hee hee," and walks away. And we're all there like, what the damn hell? Just like that. She faked it on purpose, just to see the reaction she could get. No joke. So the whole like crying and hysterics and all that, they can turn it on like that. Don't fall for it, guys. Anyway, he says, she said that her coworker, a younger guy who'd been flirting with her for weeks, was very persistently, he added. She didn't tell me about this. Her reasoning behind it was that she would have never let it would. Let me backtrack here. She said that her coworker, a younger guy who had been flirting with her for weeks, very persistently. And in parentheses, he says, she didn't tell me about this. Her reasoning being that it would never have led to something anyway. And the guy showered her with compliments, finally broke down her barriers, and they had you-know-what at his place 3 times in 2 hours. Oh, gee, thanks for sharing the details there. But listen to this. The coworker has been flirting with her persistently, okay? Now, if she wasn't attracted to him, this would be considered harassment. And believe me, actions would have been taken, especially in today's world, thanks to the Me Too movement. But if he's attractive, well, then that's a different ballgame. And that's what we have here. She said she felt like she missed out on something by only being with one you-know-what partner. So did I, but I didn't effing cheat. And she wasn't thinking rationally. They're never thinking rationally. Come on here. And let's just say, for argument's sake, that her husband, who's telling this story, was her only partner ever in the sack. Well, in today's world where it's almost encouraged to cheat, and thanks to things like social media and all the attention women can get, a lot of them, and also especially who they hang out with, things are going to start turning in their heads. So this idea that if she's only with one guy and they get together really young, then it's never going to happen and everything. No. She said she got caught up in the moment, and he says in parentheses, for weeks it seems, and she never planned to cheat on me. She said being treated like a sexy, desirable woman by a young, handsome man only clouded her thinking further. She wasn't thinking. It was all emotion-based. Okay, it was nice to be found attractive. Okay, fine. Okay, guys like being found attractive too. I'm sure this dude who's telling the story has had younger women be attracted to him wherever he may go, but it doesn't mean he's going to go act on it. Okay, I mean, there's nothing wrong with enjoying being noticed, and people find you attractive, makes you still feel young. And okay, I get that, but she acted on it. This guy obviously did not. She says, I'm not so sure what she means by this, since we had plenty of you-know-what at least 3 times a week, as well as frequent date nights. It doesn't matter. Attention and validation. That's the name of the game. And this guy obviously just was persistent, and she, of course, enjoyed it, and figured, hey, and wasn't thinking about you. She wasn't thinking about your children and the family. And now she comes back crying hysterically, and, we get this whole situation here. He says, I asked her to show me her phone, email, and media right there, and there's no sign of him at all. Well, that is not an accident. There's a reason he's not on any of it. She went to great detail to make sure there is no trace to this guy. Come on here. They never spoke outside of work. Sure. I thought she might be lying and covering her tracks, but I verified this in the following days and contacted my service provider and used a text recovery program, and they never had any contact outside of work. I don't buy it. My wife is saying it was a one-time mistake and will never happen again. She decided to quit work, handed in her notice already, and also outed the coworker due to the no fraternization policy, and is searching for another job. She also promised to give me complete open access to her media whenever I want, and is pretty much begging me not to leave her. She has apologized and shed more tears that can be counted in numbers. Well, I told you how the tears like that. I wanted to stay away from her for a while, but my kids need me, so I told her to give me my space in the house while I think things through. So she's going to quit the job. She's begging for forgiveness. She's very, very sorry. Wants to work on the marriage, all that. She's not going to have anything to do with the guy. Then why'd you do it in the first place? Obviously, in the back of her mind, she knew that this guy is obviously, at least what she thought, was going to let it go. Well, not so easily. My wife wants to do couples counseling and therapy and wants to pay for herself so as not a burden to me. She's taking full blame for the cheating and assures me I did not contribute to it at all. I never thought I'd be the type to consider forgiving cheating. I always thought I would steel myself and go no contact without a second's hesitation. I'm trying to determine the pros and cons of this. Well, dude, this isn't easy, obviously. Okay, because obviously you've been with her for a long time. You married her, you have kids with her, and you love her. And your heart's just been stomped out. You've been betrayed by the person in your mind that you should be able to trust the most, but you can't. Okay, and yeah, that's great that she's apologizing. That's great that she's quitting the job, abso-freaking-lutely, and having nothing to do with that guy, supposedly. And that's great that she's giving this guy access to her phone and social media and all that shit, and do the couples therapy, and she's going to pay for it because this guy shouldn't have to pay for it. But at the end of the day, it's not going to change what happened. It's not going to change the fact that this guy is going to, every time, let's just say they worked on things, okay, and got to a place that, say he forgave her and they moved on, and eventually they're back to hooking up. Believe me, he's going to be imagining some other dude with her when he's hooking up with her. He's going to be wondering if that guy was better than him. He's going to be wondering if that guy's bigger than him. He's going to wonder what else was going on behind the scenes that she's not telling him. Because I guarantee you, there is more going on that she's not mentioning. Okay? And really, should he be always having the back of his mind wondering if she is indeed has something going on? If she's cheating? Should he spend the rest of his time with her? Lord knows how long, always wondering, never being able to trust her. That doesn't sound like an ideal situation to me. Or always having to sleep with one eye open, so to speak, when she goes somewhere, wondering where she's actually going, when she's texting on her phone, who she's texting. That sounds like a lot of work. And believe me, the kids are going to pick up on this. The kids are going to notice. Kids notice a lot more than parents realize. I noticed a lot of things with my parents. They have no clue that I picked up on when I was younger. They were shocked when I was an adult, when I brought up some of these little details. It's no way to live. And the kids will see issues with you and the wife. A lot of guys end up staying in the marriage because they don't want to ruin the family, and I get that, because they don't want to hurt the kids. But who's the ones that actually ruin the family, right? It's not this guy's. It's the wife that did that. Anyway, he says he's trying to go over the pros and cons of this, and here's his list of pros, and then there'll be his list of cons. Pro number 1, she says she confessed immediately with full honesty, answering all my questions truthfully. Well, she confessed, but about the whole answering all the questions truthfully, I have to wonder about that. Number 2, she's quitting her job and completely separating from this guy. Well, that's great, she's quitting the job, but I have to wonder about the guy. You never know. Again, he has to basically trust her when he has plenty of good reason not to trust her. Number 3, she's giving me full access to her media. Again, okay, that's great that she's doing that, but how do you know you're getting full access? And why should you have to spend your time constantly looking at her social media or checking it every once in a while? It's the last thing you should be doing with your time. Number 4, she's taking full blame and responsibility for cheating. Okay, at least she's not gaslighting. At least she's not saying, well, it's your fault that you made me do this. Number 5, she is genuinely remorseful, and I know this for a fact. Okay, she may be feeling that now, but she certainly wasn't feeling remorseful back when she was going multiple rounds with her coworker during the work function. Number 6, she's using her own disposable income to pay for counseling and therapy. Well, the marriage counselor is going to pretty much be on her side trying to make the marriage actually work, because that's their job. Okay, and dragging out for a while, I might add. Now, certainly there's times when therapy is definitely helpful in certain situations, but with the marriage counseling, from what I've heard, these counselors will try to drag it out as long as possible, because obviously that's how they make their living, and tend to side with the wife one way or another. So, but yes, this guy, she's offering to pay. But then at the end of the day also, I always advise guys, if you're married, the guy has his accounts in his name and his name only. She has her accounts in her name only. And you have one account, a joint account, which you both contribute to pay the mutual bills and shit. But still, at the end of the day, that's still part of it's still coming from the same pot. So that's still an expense being paid. One way or another will impact this guy. But fine, whatever. He says, number 7, apparently a marriage can become stronger after infidelity. Not sure if this is true, but I doubt it. The possibility is there, I suppose. Well, I beg to differ. Again, like I said all before, about 2 or 3 minutes ago, this guy's going to spend the rest of his life wondering, not being able to trust her. It's different now. Number 8, I really do love my wife beyond measure, and I can't imagine loving another woman or having another woman be the mother of my children. Well, I get it sucks, and believe me, I have plenty of empathy. But at the end of the day, what happened happened. And as you can't imagine loving another woman, well, I wouldn't be trusting anybody after this anytime soon. But there's 8 billion people on the planet, and half of them are women, or close to 8 billion people on the planet. I don't know what the exact figure is, but it's a lot. Closer to 8 than 7. And half of them are women, half of them are men. Close enough there. I know someone's going to come on here and give me the exact statistic up to the date, but pretty much half and half. So there's plenty of this whole the one thing is a bunch of nonsense. He's got plenty of opportunities with other women if that's indeed what he wants. He says, I can't imagine loving another woman or having another woman be the mother of my children. Well, if it doesn't work out, you split up. She's still going to be the mother of your kids. Now the cons. Number 1, she effing cheated on me. We have kids, damn it, and she actually effing cheated. Right. And planned it out too, I might add. That moment, she didn't care about you or the kids. Number 2, she lied to me about this work function bullshit. She deliberately texted me a lie to cover for her getting pounded by the coworker. Exactly. So it wasn't just emotional. I mean, women are driven by their emotions, but believe me, she thought out what she was doing. Number 3, she admits that the you-know-what was mind-blowing and she enjoyed it immensely. Why the hell did she tell him this? I mean, it's bad enough how things have turned out, but telling him this is like literally like rubbing salt in an open wound. Okay, that is absolutely unnecessary for her to say that. What, make the suffering worse? Number 4, she never told me about the flirting, even as it went on for weeks. That's because she enjoyed it. She enjoyed the attention and validation. What have I told you about women and attention and validation? And I got no problem if someone enjoys being someone liking them, finding them attractive, okay? But then there's letting it go too far. Number 5, she wasn't drunk. She willingly and intentionally had you-know-what with him. That one hurts a lot since she decided to forsake our family just for a few hours with a coworker. Yeah, a lot of times it's the old I was drunk excuse, but here she wasn't. Number 6, trust will take a very long time to rebuild, if at all. I don't know if I want to invest years into trying to repair what might be fundamentally broken. Well, you know what? It is broken. Okay, you're never going to see her the same again. You're never going to trust her. No matter if she is truly, genuinely sorry and is truly means it. Okay, everybody screws up in life, but still, you forgive, but he's not going to forget. Better just move on. So you have to endure all this bullshit through the remaining years with her. He says, number 7, I fear her cheating may have permanently destroyed any potential intimacy with my wife. Just seeing her or thinking of her conjures images of her getting you-know-what by the other guy, and would be impossible not to think of such things during our intimacy. That's exactly what I said earlier. He's going to imagine that type of thing going on. You know, how was that guy doing it? How many times was he doing it? How big was that guy? Did she like it more? That type of shit's going to go through guys' minds, whether we want to or not. It's just how we are, amongst many other things. Number 8, I've lost a huge amount of respect for her. I doubt I have any left. Our marriage and children apparently meant so little to her that she chose the guys you-know-what over them. Also, all it took to get her to throw away all notions of fidelity and loyalty were a few weeks of flirting and compliments. I thought my wife had a modicum of self-control and dignity, but it appears I'm wrong about this. And the other thing, as the saying goes, once a cheater, always a cheater. Okay? And, you know, again, I still wonder if this guy that's telling the story, if he was her one and only, as he seems to think it was. I'm sure he's questioning that at this point, you know, because he has to question anything she says now. But statistically, somebody does it once, they do it again. And if this guy lets it go, she may be begging and pleading for forgiveness, but there's going to be a part of her that's not going to respect him. Like, well, I did my coworker and he's going to let it go. It may take 10 years, but she could be doing somebody else. Maybe not. Maybe so. He says, what do I do? Kids? ? Try to work through this or just say F it and move on. For the latter, I can be a vengeful, Chillingsworth-like bastard, so I would probably pretend to forgive her while secretly making moves to get a favorable divorce settlement for myself. It's probably just fantasy, but I'll be damned if I don't try my hardest to not get screwed out of everything I worked so hard to achieve in the last 10 years. If there are any pros and cons I missed, please mention them. Well, I think you pretty much covered them all, man, but I would say this. One thing he didn't mention is that, he didn't mention that she said is, he ought to have her going out there to get a STI test. Make sure there's nothing going on in there so he's not impacted if indeed he stays with her and they're back to hooking up. Okay, how about that? And quite frankly, she ought to be offering to, when the kid's not in the house, be cooking dinner naked for him and pretty much taking care of him while he's eating his dinner, if you catch my drift. Things like that she should be offering, as well as the whole fuck the couples therapy. You're going to pretty much do what I want in the sack. But putting that aside, my mind's always in the gutter. I got to mention these things. But putting that aside, like I said earlier, spend the rest of your life always wondering what's going on behind the scenes, having to monitor her social media, monitor the text messages, all that. That's a bunch of bullshit. Life is too short, okay? And of course, imagining when you're hooking up and all that. In my opinion, I mean, even if she's generally sorry, in my opinion, I would say end it. But I would say to her, look, if you truly are genuinely sorry, I appreciate that. We've had great times, but I can't get past this. I can't get past this, and it's just not going to work. But and this is what I would say to her, if you truly do love me, if you truly care and love me like the way you say you do, then you are going to let me go. You're going to let me go, and we're going to have a smooth, amicable divorce. That's how you can prove how sorry you are and how much you love me. And we can then, even though we're divorced, be great parents separate for our kids, okay? And that way then he doesn't get screwed out of the divorce, because that's what he was concerned about at the very end, because obviously this guy, he said he worked hard for that. But that's what I would recommend, because he's only 31 or 32. He's got his whole life ahead of him. Shit, I'm 43, so anybody that's pretty much in their early 30s is like a kid to me at this point in my life. And probably when I'm in my 50s, I'll think somebody in their 40s is a kid. But anyhow, this guy's got the rest of his life to rebuild and go on. But just, if he's writing this, if this is what he's already thinking, he's already thought about this at this point. So, but anyhow, guys, I thought it was a good story to share with you guys. I know plenty of you guys have unfortunately dealt with something like this, or some of you guys that do relationships or in marriages. Maybe one day you may have something like this. I hope not, but maybe you do. And that way then you hear these stories and you kind of, in one way or another, kind of prepare for something like this. Because life is short, guys. We only got one shot. And so why spend the rest of your time being unhappy? Because there are so many people out there in this world that are unhappy, but could be happier if they actually took the leap and made a major change to their life and stopped doing it because they felt like it was the right thing to do for society, the right thing to do because of their religion, or the right thing to do because of like what the standards in their own family, or the stay for the kids type of thing, and be miserable. Life's too short. So, but anyhow, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this, and be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.